Hey everybody, a couple people have asked me about how hard it was or how to actually change the flow restrictor on the Linea Mini. This stock flow restrictor comes in the size of 0.8 millimeter diameter, and the replacement comes in about 0.6 millimeter diameter, and this is to adjust the flow rate and decrease it to hopefully pull better shots. I've uploaded a picture of the tools and also placed a list of the tools that are required to do this. So please look at that before you begin the project. First thing you got to do is make sure the machine's off and it's been cooled, because part of it you have to actually take off some of the water, and you don't want that to be too hot. So I'm removing the cup warmer. The next things you have to do is remove the screws from the two top covers. These are Phillips over on this side, and these are Flatheads. And you don't want to remove this corner screw right here, but you can remove everything else. All right, so next thing we want to do is remove this centerpiece and paddle, okay? The whole goal here is to access underneath this boiler cover, and that's where the flow restrictor is. But before we can do that, we actually have to remove this paddle and centerpiece so this cover can lift and give us room to remove this cover. There's two Phillips head screws on the bottom side of the paddle. So the next thing to do is to remove the cover. In order to do that, you have to unscrew these bolts on the back side. They're 7mm bolts, or not bolts, sorry, nuts. And I just use a ratchet head instead of a wrench, because I don't have a 7mm wrench. Just loosen them up at first, and then you can unscrew the rest of the way with your hand. Next thing is to remove the cover. Should come out. All right, now that we have the paddle and cover off, we get access to these nuts, or these hex bolts, which we got to remove next. Like I said, you can do this with Allen wrench, 6mm one, but I prefer to use the ratchet, so I can have more torque. These are on pretty snug. So these ones in the back have washers. Make sure they don't drop when you're pulling out the bolt. All right, now that we have the paddle assembly detached, we have easier access to the boiler cover. Sometimes this is pretty snug on, especially if you haven't removed it before. But a little bit of pressure will eventually give way. And inside the boiler, that's full of water. So you can either use a bulb suction, or if you have a straw, you can just suck out the water. All right. And now we have access to the flow restrictor. This is right there. This is where you need your needle nose pliers, so you can unscrew it. After you get about a quarter turn with a needle nose or vice grip, you should be able to easily unscrew it with your hand.